Hello, my lovely little gemstones. It's Afira, and today I'll be reading Swallow Your Pride by Quarantine Vibes. Chapter 4. Pass the Punch. The next few minutes passed by in a blur for Remus. Janus had tried to usher Remus out of the room, telling him that Roman needed rest. Not that he was wrong, but there was no way that Remus was going to leave Roman after whatever the hell that was. Plus, Remus wasn't sure how Roman would react if he woke up to all the creations he nearly burnt up. They settled on letting Remus carry Roman to the common room. Upon hearing them, Virgil had bounded down the stairs with Logan closely trailing behind. Apparently, they had been looking for Roman ever since Roman had showed up in Remus's room. They searched Roman's room while he was in Remus's, and Remus's room while he was in his own room. In a different context, it would have been funny. Patton had gasped from the kitchen where he was searching and knelt next to Roman, asking what had happened. Janus shushed him, but didn't answer. Instead, they all looked at Remus for an explanation. Remus tried to tell them what he could, how Roman had been violently sick, how he had blindly flailed and stumbled in Remus's room, how Remus got him back to his room, but when Remus tried to tell them about the art, his voice cut out. He could only sink down next to the foot of the couch. Remus felt something heavy drape around his shoulders. He tugged at the material and looked up. "What's this?" he asked, blinking at how flat his voice was. Virgil sat cross-legged in front of him. "It's a weighted blanket, dude." Remus only blinked at him again. Virgil scratched the back of his neck. You started shaking pretty bad. I thought it would help." "Oh," Remus said, and looked down at his hands, which were, true to what Virgil had said, shaking like they were filled with a billion skittering beetles. Remus tugged the blanket tighter around him. "You think you can tell us what happened after you put Roman to bed?" Virgil asked softly. Remus looked around the room. Patton and Janus were leaning against the chair opposite to Remus, and the nerd had taken up the cushion next to Roman's head, brows furrowed deeply. Remus took a deep breath in, trying to force the words out. Remus started and swallowed. "There was all this art being created as he was sleeping, but when I woke him up, he saw me looking, and he..." Remus took in a shuddering breath, bracing for the next part. "He tried to burn them. He tried to burn his creations." Remus squeezed his eyes shut, opened them and looked up, expecting to be met with expressions that reflected the same horror that he felt. Instead, he was greeted by varying levels of confusion. "So he didn't like what he made?" Virgil asked, abject horror frustratingly absent. Logan nodded. "While fire is a rather violent method, is it not okay to get rid of pieces that you're unsatisfied with?" Remus jumped up. "That's not the point!" he yelled, wincing when they startled backwards. Remus rubbed his face and tried to calm himself. "That's not the point," he repeated. "We may not like everything we create, and we can discard of ideas, but the things we create are still a part of us to some extent. To try and get rid of it so violently, to try and deny its creation, it's almost like... Remus couldn't finish his sentence, surprised to feel a fat drop of water roll off his chin and onto the back of his hand. He wiped furiously at his eyes. "It's just..." Remus croaked and cleared his throat. "Something obviously happened, but I don't know what. Why hadn't he pushed Roman earlier for details? Maybe if he did, they wouldn't be in this situation." Remus wanted to smack himself, tackle Epimetheus with all his unhelpful hindsight, and wrangle him to the ground. Remus looked up, trying to eke out an apology to four very uncomfortable-looking sides, when Patton spoke up. "Something did happen," he said quietly. Remus whipped around to face him as he shuffled quietly. Virgil was glaring at the corner where he stood next to Janus, and Logan looked away, concentrating on picking strands of hair out of Roman's face. "What?" Patton eeped. Remus's tone must have sounded as foreboding as he felt. Patton had been the reason Roman was down lately. From supporting his cancellation of the callback to always cutting down his clever insults, Remus had helped with a few of those, to whatever had happened in the video where he and Virgil had taken the day to fuck around on Animal Crossing. "What did you do?" Remus growled, stalking over to the cardigan-clad side and slamming his hand into the wall. He felt someone tug at his sleeve. "It wasn't him, Rem," Janus said quietly. Remus laughed. "Don't try and protect him, Janus. It was me." Remus blinked, staying uncharacteristically silent as Janus explained what had happened earlier during filming. A few more minutes passed, and Remus still said nothing. As a side who always said what was on his mind, being forced to tell the truth sounded like torture, for whomever happened to be listening. But for Roman, Remus closed his eyes as he watched Roman in his mind's eye, hands clawing at his sides, painfully throwing out nothing into the bowl below him as if to get something else out. Or someone out, as Remus had just learned. No wonder Roman had seemed so violated. "Janus?" Remus said, too quietly for the all-too-wide room. Janus gulped. "Yeah, Rem? I'm going to punch you." Patton yelped and tried to jump in front of him. Janus patted his shoulder and pushed him aside. He nodded at Remus, who let out a gravelly sigh, reeled back, and let his fist fly forward. Janus tumbled backwards. If Remus had used his full strength, he would have gone through the wall. Janus coughed from his position on the floor, and Remus held out a hand to help him up. "I deserved that," Janus conceded, grimacing as he rubbed his chest. "We good?" Remus nodded. "For now. You're an asshole, though." "Seconded." Remus and Janus both spun to see Logan helping a groaning Roman into sitting position. Janus didn't deny it, sheepishly picking up his hat from the ground. "I didn't mean for it to go that far earlier," he admitted. "Really, Roman, I'm sorry. Are you okay?" The question felt like it was referring to more than just recent events. Remus darted his eyes between the two of them. He still didn't know all of the details from what had happened after the wedding, but he did know that the tension between his brother and best friend had been palpable enough for Remus to bite. Roman regarded Janus for a while, rubbing his arms a bit the way he did when he was making a decision. "I did agree to it," Roman finally said, and Remus didn't miss how he avoided the second question. "I guess I just didn't realize how much I didn't want to acknowledge certain truths." Remus frowned, confused, gratified that the other's expressions finally matched his own. "What truths are you talking about?" Patton asked, and Roman gave a half-hearted shrug. "You all heard it," he said, then looked at Remus. "Well, most of you did," he laughed. "I'm a failure." They all paused for a moment before erupting into a chorus of dissent. Roman put his hand up. Guys, it's okay. You don't have to lie to me." Roman's eyes flicked to Janus. "The truth was pulled out of me, and now everyone knows." Roman laughed again, and Remus looked towards Janus. "You know what? Maybe we're not good, because I really want to punch you again." "That isn't true," Virgil argued at Roman. "Yeah, what the hell did you say to him?" Remus yelled, and Janus waved in front of himself. I didn't... It's not like..." Janus groaned at his inarticulation. He took a deep breath in and walked to where Roman was. Roman's shoulders were hunched, coiled in on themselves like a spring, and Janus had to kneel to make eye contact. "You made me tell the truth, didn't you? I was trying so hard to convince myself otherwise, but you proved it," Roman said, laughing softly. "I am useless. I can't create. You all really are better off if..." Janus held a hand up, cutting Roman off. "I made you tell your truth," Janus said, voice tinged with something hollow. "Not the truth." Roman rolled his eyes. "You and your semantics. What does it matter, my little phony? The truth is the truth." Logan frowned. "But that's not the truth." He looked at Janus. "Was your ability perhaps compromised in some way?" Janus groaned and shook his head. "No, I'm trying to tell you." He stood up. "Roman, what you said, he sighed, "what I made you say, it's what you believe is true." "What?" Patton yelped. "Kiddo, why would you think any of that?" Roman paled, giving a half-hearted shrug. "Because it's true?" Virgil groaned from where he was perched on the couch arm. That word is starting to lose its meaning. "Did it have any in the first place?" Janus asked. "Semantics," Remus affirmed with an eye roll. "What is and isn't the truth doesn't matter. What matters is what the hell made you think like that, Ro?" He looked at his brother. "You can create. You did create, just now, and it was amazing." Remus's eyes gleamed as he thought about it, and he sat down next to Roman. The last time he had been hit with inspiration like that was when Thomas had to write a short story for his grade school class, and he had constructed a full novel on how Thomas had electric powers and would go around electrifying the citizens of his town, such as his brother. Granted, it wasn't as powerful as what he had witnessed in Roman's room, but he knew what it felt like. Creations pouring from your fingertips, new ideas bursting out from thin air. It was exhilarating, rapturous. Roman grimaced. "It was supposed to be rapturous," Remus amended when he saw the expression. "But they aren't good," Roman said, replying to Remus. They're not good." Well, I think they're great, and since I'm the older brother, my word carries more weight than yours. You're older? Asked Patton. He's not, Roman said. I thought you two were twins, said Logan. Roman shoved at Remus's shoulder. You're biased. Actually, Janus piped up, voice taking on its strange, awkward, scratchy tone for when he wanted to be genuine. I saw a peek of a few of your works, Roman. I didn't mean to, but what I did see I thought was rather captivating. Roman blinked in surprise, his shoulders uncoiling just a fraction as he shifted. But they're not good, like... Roman sputtered for a moment. Janus raised an eyebrow. Semantics? Janus asked. Semantics, Roman agreed miserably. It's just not what I usually do. It doesn't capture what Thomas usually expects from me. Logan hummed. I think I understand the issue. Everyone swiveled to look at the bespectacled side. Like I've said before, Thomas views creativity as a force for good, which is what led to the twins. He scratched his nose. Or siblings, I guess? I was not aware that Remus was older. He's not, Roman growled. I am. Go on, Specs. In terms of creativity, the definitions of good and bad are rather arbitrary. You can create emotional positive art from negative emotions, or negative dark art from positive emotions, or both, or neither. You lost me, Elle, Virgil said. Logan sighed and rubbed his chin. Social psychologist Joe Forgas researched the topic of the correlation of angst, sadness, and negative emotions with focus and processing. He found that these emotions, when acute, tend to fuel focus-driven work, such as creation or tasks involving diligence. Everyone besides Janus gave Logan a blank stare. Janus patted his shoulder sympathetically. So what you mean is that using negative emotions can actually fuel creation? Logan nodded gratefully at the summary as O's filled the room. And that creation can help one to process these emotions. Logan blinked, seeming to realize something. Remus said he saw pieces dating back to a few weeks ago. How long have you felt like this, Roman? Roman shrugged. Was it from when we all harped on your ideas that one time? Virgil asked, eyes slightly shrouded. Roman shrugged again. I don't know. Was it perhaps the Christmas Carol video when we refused to follow your script? Roman's nose wrinkled. I don't think so. The callback? Janus asked softly. Another shrug. My video? Remus asked, dreading the answer. Roman scratched his head. I don't... The wedding? Patton asked, voice tiny. I don't know, Roman yelled. I don't know, he repeated quietly in the stunned silence. I don't know when or why, but... Ugh. He put his forehead to his knees. I just feel like everything I make will just let Thomas down. Well, did you ask him? Remus asked. Roman shot him a confused look. What? Did you show him? Did you ask him? Well, no, but... Remus put his hand up and launched himself off the couch. He wiggled his eyebrows. I have an idea. Thank you all so much for listening. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and if you like what you hear and you want to read more, you can find the link to the fic and the author in the description. If you want to check out other podfics I've done, you can click on the playlist linked on the screen. See you next time!